Greetings, science fiction and fantasy enthusiasts, and welcome to our podcast. With Ryan Sean O'Reilly, David Wilkinson, and Richard Mell. You're listening to No Deodorant in Outer Space. Now, let's get started.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Season 3 of No Deodorant in Outer Space. My name is Ryan Sean O'Reilly. Joining me on this program is Richard Mell.
Hey.
Also joining us is David Wilkinson.
What's up, party people?
How's everyone doing today?
Whoa.
I'm fairly well.
All right, that's good, that's good. So this is going to kick off Season 3 of No Deodorant in Outer Space. We're doing things a little different this season. We're going to split up our show into a book show and a movie show. So this is part 1. And in this episode, we're going to be covering the book Stepford Wives, written by Ira Levin, and the 2 movie remakes. One of them directed by Brian Ford, which came out Brian Forbes, which came out in 1975 and starred Catherine Ross. And then a later remake that was directed by Frank Oz, and I think it came out in 2004, and that one starred Nicole Kidman. So, anyone have any general updates to start off the season, or we want to get right into it?
Well, I got yelled at on the road today. Guy was right behind me. I was making a left turn, and I didn't have my signal on. And when he drove by me, he's like, "Hey, you didn't turn your fucking signal on!" And this is like right in a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Wilk, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Bernie Sanders opened a campaign headquarters about a mile from my house, so I've been by there a couple times. And I have not gotten any traffic accidents, although my car got stuck in my driveway on Friday, and it really just threw the whole day off, and I was in a foul mood. And, but it's all good now. So we're podcasting, life is good.
Hey, have you considered phone banking, like volunteering for any of that stuff?
I considered it, but I have not actually formally volunteered yet. I've gotten some pamphlets and bumper stickers. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm enjoying this election so much. I feel like it's a comic book
this is
thing.
An unbelievable election, and it's got all kinds of characters in it, and it's more exciting than anything else.
Well, I feel like the Joker and Batman, where I'm just sitting back and watching everybody lose their mind because everybody's freaking out about this guy and that guy, and I don't know. The chaos is just it's beautiful.
It's a lively time.
Exactly.
It's a good time.
Okay, let's just start off with our opening comments to set up this episode. Wilk, do you want to start off with you?
Start with me
Yeah,
now.
let's just go ahead and just give us your opening comment to start off the show. Set up your thoughts for this episode that we're, focusing on the book.
Okay. Hey guys, this is Wilk, and this is my opening comment. Ira Levin is the author that I'm trying not to fall in love with. I like everything he does. I want to understand more about him. He's not super prolific, but everything he's written I love, and this book is no exception. Look forward to talking about it today.
Oh, very glowing. Cool. Rick, let's go to you.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to reading Stepford Wives, and once I got through with it, I was just kind of let down. But, I found the book interesting and kind of relevant to this day. So, it's got its positives and negatives.
All right, we'll flip it back to me. I'll do that myself. I guess my conclusion on this book is just it's a chilling tale of horror that descends into madness one step at a time. Ooh, a little bit more succinct. But, all right, this book was written by Ira Levin, and Wilk, you're going to cover...
A little bit more succinct.
Wilk, you're going to cover Mr. Levin on this episode, so why don't you give us a little background on him?
Yeah, and thank you for acquiescing to my demands to cover the author. I really
they
like
were
these
demands.
guys.
I'll make that clear.
They were. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a gun held to anyone's head, but I'm not saying there wasn't. So Ira Levin is to me an enigma. I mean, he is, in my opinion, one of the best writers of the 20th century. But he's not super prolific. But he's well recognized for what he's done. Now, he grew up in New York City. His father was an importer of toys. Some reports say he's a toy manufacturer, toy maker, but he didn't really make toys. He just was in the toy business. kind of a joyless business of importing toys, not a wacky, whimsical one where he was making things in a workshop in his basement, as far as I can understand.
Like Geppetto.
Well, not like Geppetto. I think Geppetto had some skill. This guy was just like, hey, it's a living. We import some toys, we sell some toys, kind of joyless.
I was just referring to the comment, wacky and whimsical,
Oh, yeah. Ira Levin did not want to get into the business, but it was decided early on that he would take over his father's business. They're from New York City. It was just the kind of thing like, hey, I'm going to give, but so he went as far away from New York City as he could think of. And that he went to Iowa originally for college, Iowa City, which is renowned for its writing programs. He didn't finish there. He came back and went to Drake University, where he graduated from. He, shortly after graduation, he wrote a short story that got picked up and turned into a screenplay by NBC. And he capitalized on the success of that. He made, I think, $200 winning a contest and $400 on the script, $600 in the 1950s to tell his dad, sorry, no thanks, I'm going to try and make it as a writer. And he did. And he didn't start off writing novels initially. He wrote one novel very early on called A Kiss Before Dying, which I highly recommend. It is a great tale of a sociopath, many twists and turns, was made into 2 movies. But then his big thing was he was writing plays, and he adopted a play called No Time for Sergeants that was a huge hit on Broadway. Now, he adopted it from a novel and adapted it from a novel, and it became a big hit on Broadway, and it got turned into a movie that started the career of Andy Griffin. So this is where it gets good. So after this little bit of success with a short story and a novel and a play, he had unprecedented failure. I mean, like an impressive amount of failure. Like this guy wanted to be a playwright, and he kept writing plays that were just terrible. They'd go on for a week. I mean, it's like Mel Brooks wrote, the producers about him, so to speak. I mean, he made plays that were just comically bad. I mean, like they wouldn't say the theater. He had a play called Drat That Cat. I mean,
Drat That Cat.
Oh yeah, did he write the music for that too? I think I saw that.
I think he did. Yeah, he wrote the lyrics for that. And again, it's funny because he didn't want to be known for comedy. He tried to do comedy a couple times. And at one point in the 70s, he said, "No more comedy. I'm not a funny guy." But really, I think there's an undercurrent of dark humor in everything he does, and really, and a little bit of satire, especially in the book that we're discussing. Anywho, in 1967, he wrote his most famous book, got published, Rosemary's Baby, which is also a great book, falls into our genre. I would highly recommend you read it. And it got made into a movie that still holds up. Roman Polanski directed it. Mia Farrow was the star.
Yeah.
And most people are familiar with it. And some people said that movie kind of triggered the satanic craze of the 70s, which, frankly, I'm all about because I love the 70s and I love Satan. Yeah, I do. So
in that order?
In that order. But I love movies about Satan. And I don't know.
That movie, they're saying, like, I was reading, spawned, a series of, I guess, satanic movies with Omen coming out and The Exorcist.
I don't know if it spawned them, but it definitely gave them a green light to say, hey, you can make movies about the devil, because The Exorcist was a great book in and of itself. The Omen, probably my favorite horror movie of all time, if you combine all the factors. I love that movie. I wish there was a book that was based on so we could do a podcast about it. But yeah, Gregory Peck, Son of the Devil, amazing decapitations, practical effects. That movie's fucking tits on geese good. So yeah. And then, oddly enough, he became very popular in the 70s. He had a series of books. The Boys from Brazil came out, and The Stepford Wives. They were hits. He wrote some he wrote some book that was very similar to Brave New World. And I'm blanking on the name right now, but his dystopian novel, it came out in 1970. I honestly got to forget the name. But then in the 70s, he wrote and produced a play called Death Trap, which is to date the most successful play ever written. Got made into a movie in the 80s starring Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine. Very popular in London. It's played there constantly. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek murder mystery. British people love that shit. And then oddly enough, he wrote the book Sliver, which is made into a movie, and then he kind of sold out and made some sequels to Rosemary Baby and all that kind of stuff. He died fairly recently in 2007 in New York City, and he wanted to be thought of as a playwright, and I guess he was. So that's my take on Ira Levin. Good dude. Enjoy his work. I'm done talking.
Okay. That's some background on Ira. Rick, did you have anything else to add to that, or?
Well, I think Ira stayed in Manhattan his entire life, right? And he went to Horace Mann High School. I think he went to Columbia University, was it?
Drake.
Okay.
We went to Iowa, and then he went to Drake.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's just get right into the book. Rick, you're going to give us a quick synopsis of the book. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so the Stepford Wives takes place in a Connecticut suburb of New York City, and I think the suburb was inspired by Stamford, Connecticut, drawing from a lot of the big money corporate activity going on in Stamford. I think Ira probably found it as an ideal setting for his story, which is about a family who moves there from the city and starts to get matriculated into the community. And the wife, Joanna, starts to sense something is amiss with her walking around and interacting with a lot of the other women in the community. She's kind of freaked out that these women are extremely shallow and they're constantly doing housework. So she befriends a few other women who have moved in recently, and they slowly turn on her. And it's just kind of about her getting to the bottom of it. So the book pretty much holds the reader in suspense until the very end, I think, and it all kind of comes to fruition at the end.
All right. This story, do you guys feel that this is a feminist story?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it has some literal references to actual feminists in the story. That's a big part of it, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in the first page, I think, they're self-described feminists, the man and the wife. The husband and wife both say they're feminists.
Yeah, and they're joining, and in the city, they were part of organizations. Now was one of them. And when they moved to Stepford, the wife wants to start up some women's organizations because there isn't any. And then later, as the story progresses, she finds out there were some, and they just kind of ended, sort of mysteriously stopped. And that's kind of one of the more suspenseful parts, that she kind of investigates what happened to these women's organizations, because all that remains is the men's association.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the men's association was a conglomeration of, was it like an Elks Club, an American Legion Hall, or something like that? And they consolidated into this men's association. And then mysteriously, the women lost interest in the women's association. But the feminist aspect of the book, and it's written by a male author, and it's dealing with the traditional role of women working in the house, and kind of that being their primary duty, juxtaposed against the women's movement, which is having women be more active. And then the main character has outside interests from housework. In fact, she's not all that interested in housework. She has her photography that she's having some success with, and she's selling photos, and she's trying to get into it more. I think they build a darkroom in the house, right?
They do, in their basement, yes.
Yeah. So there's that overt aspect of feminism where you have the character actually getting involved in women's, or trying to start up a women's organization. And of course, she has trouble. She befriends this one woman, Bobby, right? And Bobby also has similar interests. And they go around and they're like, try to get a resurgence for women's organization. And they have resistance from the local population there in Stepford, who are just only interested in doing housework and claim they have no time for anything else besides supporting their husbands. And it takes this feminist movement and sort of brings it to an extreme end.
It's a feminist horror story for feminists. Yeah. I mean, and really, it's almost as if they're saying,
written by a man.
Yeah, it's like, I love the phrase, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. That's what this is saying to feminists. I mean, it's taking the most extreme example of sexism and inflicting it upon every woman in this town. And it's not a feminist horror story in the sense that women are taking over and cutting off men's penises and breeding without us, that kind of thing. It's really just the opposite. And to me, it's satire without humor. And I think that's how I would view it. And I thought it was pretty horrific. I thought the ending was kind of chilling. And really just the subtext that these men are basically murdering their wives to replace them with Disney-esque versions of their wives. I don't know, in the creepy paranoia factor, almost like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing, as her friends are slowly and obviously replaced. And then she's also second guessing herself. Like, she wants to conform throughout the book. I don't know. I thought it was I think
she doesn't want to believe that it's, I mean, a lot of people probably feel going out to the suburbs from the city is going to be a boring, mundane lifestyle, women or men, right? And that's one of the themes of this, is they come from the city to the suburbs. And she doesn't want to believe that it can be really that boring. You know, they're supposedly moving to the suburbs to have a better life for their kids and for themselves. And she's trying to make the best of it. And there's this creepy undertone, like suburban undertone. And there's also the male chauvinist agenda going on, but there's also this creepy suburban undertone. And she doesn't want to believe it could really be that evil. And it's like, the more she looks into it, it's you can't believe how horrible it is. And I thought one of the strong parts about this book is that the suspense was so great. Cause I mean, this book was written in 72? And I kind of had an idea where the book was going, but I still felt I felt the suspense all throughout that. I don't know, Rick, if you felt that. Well, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, the book was more suspense than it was horror. I mean, when I visualize horror, I visualize something that's, just concrete and gore and, a little bit more detailed than what was portrayed in this book. So I would consider this book more suspense. And it is horror just because of the idea behind it. The concept is horrific. I mean, these men are moving into this community and the wives are disappearing. That's horrific. But the book doesn't give you those details. It just kind of happens,
It's sci-fi too in the sense because it kind of gives you the clues when you have the guy from Disney that can make the guy recording voices. I mean, it's almost they've assembled a team of people to make this mission possible.
Right.
Are we doing spoilers here? But I don't know about you guys. Suspense is a great way to describe this book. It works. You can sit down. It's short. You read it. I read the thing in one sitting.
Very short, very quick.
Yeah. It's like, but it's like I'm kind of trying to guess the whole time. Well, is she being paranoid? Is she,
right.
But yeah, and I thought I found the end pretty satisfying, and I'll defer to Rick because I think he had some thoughts about that too. But
and you know what? In this book, I could just jump in real quick. Everything is not spelled out.
No.
There's a lot left out in the background that you can. I don't know if you can take a huge interpretation of it, but there isn't you don't peer behind the curtain and see the great wizard behind it all.
Ever.
No, you don't see that at all. It leaves that to the imagination. The book really kind of focuses on Joanna and just sort of like her paranoia juxtaposed with a lot of her daily activities with her kids, with the husband, with just sort of keeping up with her new friends and her thoughts on her weird neighbors. Her life is really busy. And it just kind of exemplifies sort of like, okay, so she's not a hausfrau, but her life is extremely, just jam-packed full of activity. And I think Ira Levin wants to make the point that, okay, she's a feminist and she doesn't really agree with doing all this housework, but, Joanna is more interested in just being a human being and interacting with friends, with quality time. And I think the author just tries to make this point that, feminists are, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Feminists are people too?
Well, let me throw this.
Is that what you're saying?
Rick,
no,
the author's asking a question. Do men feel threatened by feminism? And if they do, is this how they react to it? Is this feasible? Because I read this as this is a reaction to feminism. Men are like, oh shit. We want to keep our thumb over these women, so we're going to do this, this, and this. And that's the horror of the novel. I mean, and I think even today, people I just read an article about Mad Max, the latest Mad Max movie, about how it's an anti-man movie. And I read an article saying it's a feminist movie. I feel like some people are just put off by the word feminism, which at its definition just means the equal treatment of men and women. That's it. And in that sense, I'm a feminist. What the fuck? I think men and women should be treated equally. But
yeah.
In application, I don't think the word is interpreted that way. But
right.
This is the 70s, and they used Betty Friedan. Ryan, help me out here. I'm going to mangle her name. But, the author of The Feminine Mystique was referenced very early on.
Oh, yeah, right.
But, I mean, what do you guys feel about, everyone being entitled to be being treated the same, though? I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has different requirements, and they're stimulated differently.
Well, what do you? I mean, that's
men and women are biologically different.
They are, but they should have equal rights. That's all.
Yeah, equal rights, correct.
Yeah, of course. I think we all think people should have equal rights: men, women, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't view feminism as being that radical. It just means they think men should be treated equally to women. Whatever. So I don't know, but I wasn't alive in the early 70s, so I can't speak to that time. But I think this is a reaction to bra burnings and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things I think Ira Levin does is, and it seemed, and I haven't read his other stuff, but I know the general plot of like Rosemary's Baby is he takes like a normal experience that's common in the culture, like people moving from the city to the suburbs, and he turns a horror tale out of it. And this story is fairly realistic. I mean, turning people into androids or robots or whatever they are. Maybe that's a leap. But it's interesting how he takes like an everyday kind of common cultural experience and makes it very creepy.
Yeah. It's a feminine based story because he doesn't really describe the other side, the men's club, what they're talking about, what makes them tick. I guess it's kind of boring.
It's all from her perspective.
It's all from her perspective, but why did he choose that? And
well, don't you think that helped add to the suspense and the horror? I mean,
if we were in a lot of her perspective is just like this mundane, everyday kind of thing. And
yeah, but it's not a long book. It's very sparse prose, okay? And I feel like he gets into the little mundane stuff, but that's something the character is struggling. So I think it was struggling with. So it's appropriate. And also the book is very short. It's like a novella pretty much. And you're not really just like beaten down with that. And if we were in the men's association, we had like a male like character's perspective. If it wasn't all for her perspective, I think that would have ruined some of the suspense. And
he didn't have to take on a perspective. He could have been the third person, and he could have narrated the whole scenario.
I think that would have hurt the story. I think that would have just added more water to the broth. Did we really need to see what the men were thinking?
No, I mean, that's pretty simple. I mean, everyone just assumes that they're a bunch of chauvinist pigs, but, and you see it all the time. So it's not that interesting.
What about the husband? Well, what about the husband? Okay. I guess my take on this is I'm guessing the husband had this planned all along.
Clearly.
But you wonder at some point, you wonder, was he converted? Or was this just like his plan from the beginning?
Well, Ryan, that's a great question. And my thought is, I mean, this is murder. These men are murdering their wives and replacing them with a soulless android or robot. Spoiler.
Was that made clear that they're actually murdering their wives?
In the last 10 pages, I would say so. I mean, I don't think they're being brainwashed.
They don't explicitly say it.
Yeah. I mean, or maybe they're not robots. The movies make a big distinction between that, but like...
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, but in the book itself, no, you don't know that they're animatronic, but it's implied because the guy from Disney... But whatever it is, the women lose all sense of self. They can't fight and get back, so they're either becoming a robot or they're becoming lobotomized or whatever you want to call it, but they're gone. The husbands are essentially killing the wife to create an ideal version of the wife. And yeah, he's in on the whole thing from the get-go, and he's a little bit reluctant, it seems like at first, but maybe, yeah.
Or is that just an act, Yeah, is he just acting reluctant?
Yeah, I don't know. Or I mean, that's where I was kind of confused by the book. I thought, well, maybe it's like some kind of brainwashing thing. Maybe the husbands don't realize they have to die at first, but then they tell them, I can kind of see them sucking there and saying, hey, fella, how would you like your wife to have big tits and make you dinner every night and say you're the best guy in the world when she does this and that to you? And the guy's like, sure, yeah, that's great. Then 3 months into the process, like, by the way, we have to get rid of the old shell and replace it with a new one. What? Huh. But they're
it's like a cult. Like they do this, like first they just friend him and he doesn't really understand what they're all about. And then like it kind of builds. I mean, we don't see that.
We don't know.
And we only know the husband's perspective in dealing with Joanna. And he is telling her that he's going to join the men's association and because he needs to for work, for business, to make contacts. And also he's saying he's going to go in and help open the association up to women. Like he's
got a positive track record with his wife. I mean, she believes that Walter is on her side and he understands the whole movement that she's part of.
Yeah, we don't see their backstory in the city, but that is the impression you get. I wonder about him. Like, was he just like disingenuous their whole life, their whole courtship? And then like, just got,
No, I doubt it. I think he got a couple of references to go move out to Stepford. It was calm and stable out there, and he liked those ideas. And it also implied that his wife, Joanna, would take on a traditional role, which he had to have been open to, and she had to have been open to that as well, or else she never would have been able to go out there mentally, She chose to go out there too, and she knew what she was in for.
Yeah, but although she voices her reluctance, I think, right from the beginning,
right?
Like, or her second thoughts, I should say.
Right, but I mean, the whole robot thing. I mean, that's like suburban life on steroids. It's a complete exaggeration, and that's why the story is considered horror. But it does touch on a lot of the ideas that lie in suburbs even today, and that is a family as a unit. A man has his role, a woman has her role. They can respect those roles and sort of give a hand to, some of the mundane tasks that go on. Men are not expected to just sit down when they come home from work and, watch television. That's not expected anymore. It's expected that they help out.
Would it be nice if it was, though? God damn it.
Nice for who?
Nice for the man.
But I mean, that's what
what
the norm was back in, when this book was written. So I think
today
it was changing. It was changing.
I explained to my daughter today too that she's like, Daddy, can you stop helping mom clean and come play with me? I'm like, I'm not helping mom clean. I'm doing my fair share because it's not mom's job to clean the house. And I said that because I've been programmed to say that with my wife, who will cut off my nuts if I say something differently, because she gets really offended because she works full time too. I mean, we both work 2 jobs, and we both work 1 job apiece. But I would love. We'd both have to come home and sit on our ass and watch TV, but neither one can do that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know where I was going with that. Go on.
Well, it's just changing times, and
really
I think that's what was going on when this book was written. That it was, more than starting.
Yeah, it was kind of unheard of back then, where the men and women in a marriage worked simultaneously while trying to raise kids. That's like the normal thing now. So obviously, the whole world changed.
What do you guys think of her friend's character, Bobby, who we probably see the most of her of secondary characters?
I really liked Bobby. She was fun, and she I don't know if she was extremely aware of feminism or if she was really a part of that, but she really kept it real. She wasn't into the housework, and she was there in the story basically to show Joanne exactly what the heck was going on in Stepford, because she went from being this very liberal woman who didn't really pay any mind to her own house and the cleaning of it, to becoming a Stepford wife. And that's kind of like what turned in that story. And that was the horrific moment in that story.
Yeah. And Bobby was an example of someone who a precursor to Joanne, to someone showing rejecting the traditional roles but a good person, and not looking for violence or whatever, but just saying, there's other things out here for us. We don't have to just waste away in the suburbia. Although Bobby's the first one who she's interesting because she's the first one to pick up on this. There's a serious problem, and she comes off as paranoid, and Joanne doesn't quite jump on board with her at first because Bobby thinks there's something in the water that's like poisoning them or making them more docile, because she's heard of this happening in like a news story in some town. So does anyone else have anything else to say about the book? Or, I mean, it's not a long book.
Well, I want to ask Rick. He had some mixed feelings about it. Can you just, what did you not, because I liked the book in the sense that I don't think there was a word wasted. I thought it was a very tightly written, as Stephen King called this guy, he's like the Swiss watchmaker of suspense. I sat down and I read it.
I saw that quote. I
really enjoyed reading this book. And I like the story. What did you not like about the book? This is a judgment-free zone. I'm not going to attack you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you can attack.
I won't.
Well, I mean, I guess I was reading sort of like his whole description of her day. Okay, and I get it. He's trying to set up the suspense, and he's kind of crawling through the mind of Joanna. And Joanna's worried about, getting the laundry in and getting, dinner ready for Walter and blah, blah, blah. And, I felt like, wow, this guy can get away with saying all this because, I mean, he is a very good writer and he is setting something up that's, I would say horrific, but when that moment of horror actually comes, it's not that horrific.
No?
The concept is.
Really?
The concept is. But his description of it just barely scratches the surface of what's going on. You don't know what's going on, really. You just know that these women are getting replaced. Okay?
But I mean, isn't that make it more scary because you don't see it?
No, I mean, when I'm reading horror, I'm expecting horror, not suspense.
Because to me, I think the unknown is more scary than the known.
Well, yeah, that's that's a common thought, but I mean, it's just,
But
you know,
what I'm hearing, though, two different schools of thought here. It's not explicit. You're left.
Yeah.
You have to wonder
It
what
is
happened
not.
here. And again, my imagination runs wild. And I'm basically, at the end, her friend comes at her with that knife. And you're like, oh, they're definitely murdering these women. I mean, we don't know exactly what's happening to them, but they're being killed and replaced as opposed probably.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Not that I needed to know exactly what was going on, but I guess I could have seen the other perspective. Maybe he could have narrated third person and talked a little bit about what was going on in the men's club, and maybe
You wanted all that.
I wanted it. Yeah,
and you don't get it. To be clear, I mean,
no, I didn't get it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a suspense novel with horror and science fiction possibly themes in there, but it's suspense all the way. I mean, I think suspense novels are rare and hard to find and hard to write, and we don't see a lot of them. I would say this is absolutely suspense in the sense that
It's a good suspense novel. It's not a horror novel, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. Fine. I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know if I agree or not, but
I think it's got elements of suspense. It's got elements of horror. It's got elements of science fiction. You know, it has all that. It's probably more suspenseful than the other two.
It's not 500 pages, and a lot of authors could have made this a 500-page novel and put all that stuff in there. This guy was, and again, I thought the writing style, again, very deliberate. It's almost like a Hemingway if he was Jewish and wrote these kind of things.
Right. Also, Ira Levin had all kinds of opportunity to make fun of these men, completely lambast these guys, and he didn't. And I was kind of pissed off about that. And it's something that the 2004 movie did quite well. It painted these guys as just complete dorks, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I love it.
All right.
Segue time? Segue?
Well, we gotta end the show here, and then we gotta do our next show.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you got anything, no more comments about the book, then let's we can wrap things up and just give our final comments.
All right.
All right, Wilk, you want to give your final comments and your star rating? How many stars do you give this book?
Out of 5?
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
I give it 4 out of 5, but with that 4, I'd say there's no excuse to not read this book. It's a quick read. You'll enjoy it. If you're like Rick, you might not like it, certain things about it, but you'll feel better having read it. You can say you did.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect a graphic horror novel. You know, it's not.
Right.
Okay.
No, and I'd also say my final comment is I've read about 4 of his books. I've liked them all. They don't all fit into the show, but read A Kiss Before Dying. It's fantastic. It's true suspense. In my opinion, it had a big influence on the 60s, the movies and the books that came out then, and I think you should check it out. That's it.
Okay. Rick, how many stars?
3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Any final comments or no?
You heard them all.
Okay. I'll say I give this book a strong 4 stars. I almost want to push it into 5 stars, but I'm not going to. It's a strong 4 stars, and I agree with Wilk. I think this is just a great read, and it's just very quick and succinct, and I highly recommend it. So with that, I'll invite everyone to go on to iTunes and rate our podcast. Check us out on YouTube or Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and we're, of course, in the iTunes store. And subscribe to our podcast. You can visit us at nodeodorant.com. And then tune in later this month when we do the second half of this episode and cover the 2 movies. Okay? And with that, we'll say goodnight, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode, or to read our show notes and find us on social media, visit nodeodorant.com. For more information on Ryan Sean O'Reilly and his various works of fiction, visit ryanseano'reilly.com. For more information on David Wilkinson, visit drycracker.com. For more information on Richard Mell, check out his profile at goodreads.com. The theme music for this podcast was written by John Doyle from the band I Decline. You can visit him at i-decline.com. Voiceover for this podcast was provided by me, Margaret O'Reilly. Well, that concludes our episode. We hope you've learned a lot. Again, thanks for listening to our show. And always, always remember, there is no deodorant in outer space.
Well, then let's just get into it. Guys, I hate to do this, but let me just restart the Skype call one more time without the video feed. I'm going to see if it improves it because Wilk is really cutting out. But don't stop recording. I'm just going to recall, okay?
Well, hey, I just turned my video off. Is that better?
I think it'll help, but let me restart it, refresh it. I think that'll help more. So just don't stop recording. I'm just call it right back. Okay.
Okay. I answered the video feed.
Hello. Wilk, are you on?
Damn it, guys. Damn it. Every fucking time. Get your fucking shit together. It is 4:41. We're supposed to start at 4. These two assholes don't have anything to do, clearly. God knows why this is so hard to record something. And what the fuck else are they doing? I'm sitting here now, waiting for Ryan to call me back. Where are you, jackass? God damn it.
God.
Fuck! Hello?
Hello.
Guys, what's going on?
I don't know.
I mean,
I think it was some connection problem. Ryan, are you there? Oh, shit.
not to be the fly in the ointment, I was going to go out to dinner tonight with my lovely wife at some point. God damn it. What are we doing here? How is it always like so complicated every time we do it? I feel like this should be like easy.
Well,
I know. It's no one's fault. I'm just like
we've got new equipment. We didn't really have a whole lot of time. We did. Ryan and I did test everything out, but you know, it wasn't a three-way call.
All right. We could always. All right.
I don't know.
I think Ryan's texting me right now. All right, hang on a second here. My mom's calling. Hey, Mom.
Check. Hello.
You're on. Wilk isn't. I was just on with Wilk, and now he's not on, so what happened to him? He's talking to his mother right now.
Oh, all right. Let me restart the call when he's free. Oh, God damn it.
And we're at 12 minutes now. God damn it.
Check.
Hey, you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, do you play?
Yeah.
Do you play Hearthstone?
Hello?
I don't know. I watched my brother play about 5 minutes of it.
It's great. You should play.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, turn your video off. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Let's just keep the video off.
All right.
Glad I bought this camera, guys. Jeez.
My computer just like I think I had multiple versions of Skype going or something. I don't know what happened.
Well, no, Ryan, I've had that happen to me before too, where I've thought I've ended calls, but they're still going. So I had to close out Skype. That's why I keep leaving the conversations to make sure there's not multiple ones opening up. But that does happen.
I think that might have happened. All right, okay. So I'm actually to start recording again. Are you guys still recording?
We're still recording.
Okay. Yeah, I've been recording.
I'll just have to.
Yeah, my mom had a conversation in there too. So, and you heard there's about 3 minutes of me bitching, which we give the outtakes.
That'd be perfect.
He wasn't bitching too hard though.
No, it was when you guys. I wasn't talking to you guys.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck? I'm sitting in my basement. What are these guys doing? All right, let's go. Let's go.
So,
and I'm hearing a lot of banging and stuff in the background. Is that normal?
I was having all kinds of audio problems.
No.
Keep going. You guys are good.
Sorry.
And it looks like I just fixed it, but yeah, my recording is all fraught with problems.
So, no worries. So, and a little bit of satire, especially in the book.
I don't hear anybody.
I hear everyone.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
I guess you just stopped, right?
Me?
No, he was still talking, but it's all right. It's a Skype problem.
Okay,
it's a Skype thing.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh man, is it cutting out for you guys?
I can hear everything.
You guys are cutting out for me. Wilk is. Ryan, I don't know if you are or not. You haven't really been talking that much.
All right.
Maybe you guys should gather on the same mic just this one time.
I don't
know because we're also not hearing you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You're part of the problem.
Maybe you guys are. I can hear you guys just fine. So I don't know if that means the problem's on your end or my end, but maybe you guys are overloading whatever thing. You guys have double the output from the same internet server that I do.
Wilk's got a good point. Maybe we just share a mic.
Wait, I think I have. Wait, is your phone on my Wi-Fi, Rick?
2 DJs, 1 microphone. These boys are always home. It's Rick and Ryan. Rick and Ryan.
So, all right. I mean, does anyone else have anything else to say? Wilk, are you typing in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, these microphones are a lot more sensitive. They're picking all that up.
I should probably stop.